Welcome to Inside Your Screen. I am Tony Self, and I'm joined with Mike Prime and Brendan Horgan. Hello, sirs. How you doing?
Hello, Square.
We hadn't had an Inside Your Screen for a while. We went on a bit of a hiatus, but now we're back, and we're back because the trailer for Godzilla vs Kong has just dropped. You've had the rumble in the jungle with Kong, Skull Island. You've had the thriller in Manila with Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and now we're going to have the Clash of the Titans with Godzilla vs Kong. Just wanted to get your impressions, basically. Mike, I know you're a big fan of the kind of big creature features. You've liked the kind of Transformers, Pacific Rims in the past. What are your thoughts of Godzilla vs Kong?
Well, I am a massive Godzilla fan, so I actually have the full collection of the original Toho Studios DVDs and Blu-rays. So I'm as big a Godzilla fan as you're going to get. So I'm only hoping for one winner here. Let's just put that out there straight away. I am really excited. I genuinely, when the first Godzilla film came out, I was really impressed with it. Then the Kong film came out, and they obviously hinted at the building of the kind of monster universe, and from that point I have just been absolutely buzzing, and I genuinely cannot wait. It's killing me to not watch the trailers for these. This is, out of all the films that I've had to abstain from trailers for in the last 3-4 years, this is the one that's hurting me the most, without a doubt.
Well, we were just talking about that because my plan was to kind of go through like the trailer and we'll talk about it, but you don't watch trailers for films, and it's actually quite a skilled art, I think, in this day and age, not to actually watch a trailer of a film, because they give so much away, don't they, nowadays? So yeah, I tip my hat to you, sir, because I don't think I'd be able to get through life without that. But you're like a monk, a Zen Buddhist monk, being able to just go in eyes wide shut in that respect. So I compliment you on that.
But it has to be done. Sorry, I know you want to introduce Brendan. I'm just taking up his airtime already. But even this week, I was just scanning through YouTube. This was before the teaser trailer dropped. It was like the teaser trailer. It was about 4 seconds long. And somebody made a 12-minute video out of it. And I was like, how the hell are you breaking down languages? And I watched a 4-second video. What can I see in it? And I saw stuff, and I was like, fuck's sake. I wish I hadn't watched it.
Well, this is the age we live in now, where you can glean a 1-second clip of something, and then before the day is out, you'll have like a 6-hour essay on YouTube from somebody who knows all the lore, knows everything about it. Brendan, what are your first impressions?
So unlike Mike, I'm kind of not into Godzilla or kind of the monster movie genre at all, really. I watched, the Godzilla back in the day with I forget his name, but it was the one with the Jamiroquai song to it, and I thought that was terrible.
You're going deeper underground.
Yeah. And it was during lockdown, actually. It was just, there wasn't much to do other than play video games and watch TV. So I don't know what it was that compelled me to do it, but I went back and watched the 2014 Godzilla, so the kind of return, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun, and I basically then blitzed the Kong movie and the Godzilla King of the Monsters. I think is that what it's called, King of the Monsters?
That was the 2019, yeah, the most.
Yeah,
recent.
so basically I watched all 3 movies over lockdown, and I watched them pretty much in the space of maybe 5 days, because I really just got into it. I just enjoyed the fact that they were fun, action-packed movies. I really enjoyed the story as well, and the kind of the history, and what would you call that? The folklore, or what's the term you use?
You could say the folklore, but it could just be the lore.
The lore of the Titans. And I didn't know. I knew about Godzilla and I knew about Kong, but I didn't know much about the story of the other Titans and kind of how that fitted into the world. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And without giving, obviously, this is a kind of non-spoiler discussion of the trailer, but having seen the trailer today, I'm so I haven't been as excited. I don't remember the last time I was so excited to actually see a film. The trailer looks amazing, action packed, loads going on. The story looks really good as well and looks intriguing. So I'm buzzing for it. I can't wait.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think this will be one of those spectacular. Is it coming out in the summer? I think it's coming out this summer, isn't it?
Well,
Sort of
they've
thing.
got a release date. This is the worry, but there are means and ways, but we won't go into that. But the release date is the 13th of March, I think, in America. I might have that
Oh,
slightly
okay.
wrong, but it's coming out in March in America, and they're releasing it in the cinema and on HBO Max at the same time.
Okay.
So that would, and at the moment, currently, for the UK and Europe, it just has coming soon. I'm going to assume, knowing the nature and kind of what we've seen over the last few months with changing of tactics, we're probably going to see it on demand pretty much the same time as America. We'll probably hear news in the next few weeks, but I think it's going to be a kind of video on demand, very much in the way they did Invisible Man and a lot of other movies. I hope so anyway, because if not, I may not wait.
Okay. You mentioned us earlier before, like the kind of lore, and Mike, this is something I wanted to just chat with you about because I know in the kind of Bryan Cranston Godzilla film, the kind of remake as such from the 1998 one, that was more about the kind of humans. There wasn't that many monsters involved. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, I haven't actually seen that one, but I believe there's a lot more of these titans, if you will, involved. Are you hoping that there's going to be, it's not just going to be Godzilla and Kong in this one? Do you hope there's going to be other titans or monolithic creatures in here as well?
I'm kind of torn on it. I would like to see some other stuff, but I think King of Monsters was really handy, and it introduced a lot of the old school monsters that were from like I said, the original Toho stories, and a lot of those monsters actually had their own movie lines going way back into like the 60s and 70s. So they've done well in introducing them, but this film I think is literally about the all-out carnage between the two. The only way I want to see any other like big monsters in this is if it's something that unites them for them to fight. That's my only thought on that.
Okay. If it was just a kind of all-out war between Godzilla and Kong, I mean, we know where your chips are being placed, Mike.
Who
but
won,
Brendan...
Mike? Before him, Mike, in the original film, the Japanese one, I don't know that you call, what are they called? That school of movies? You keep calling them a name. Sorry.
Toho Studios. So they were the original. Like I think the first one. I'm trying to think of the year. I think it was in the 50s, and it's just a guy in a suit. It's black and white. And it was all about the kind of the use of nuclear weapons and nuclear energy. It's kind of like the underlying story. But
did they do a Kong versus Godzilla? And wasn't there a winner?
There is. But it's... See, I remember...
So who won the original? Who won the battle in the original?
See, I think it's Kong. But it's one of those ones where, obviously, it was an American film, when it was made at that point, and Kong was the American monster, Godzilla being the Japanese monster. So yeah, he didn't get as much love, I think. But it was such an old film. It sounds really bad. It's really poorly done, even by the standards of those times. But that's just a bit of a fun film. But yeah, I mean, it just depends on which country you're from, kind of which one was the monster that won the war.
Well, this is my problem with the actual outcome, because I'm already kind of cynical in the fact that there won't be an outright winner. There won't be a victor. What they'll do is, once the dust has settled, Godzilla will look across at Kong and they'll be both ravaged and beaten up, but they'll have this admiration for each other and then they'll go their separate ways. Do you think that's something that's likely to happen? Because when you have these two colossal figures,
101, unless it's, in my opinion, 1,000,000% that's happening. It's definitely happening. They're not going to have an outright winner, and I think it much like Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, that's my worry. You see, because
I think that that for whatever reason, these two are going to fight each other, but they're not actually their fight isn't the big bad. Their fight isn't there's a bigger bad, and they're going to have to team up to beat the bigger bad. That's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, then I'll be really, really happy, because it will be something original.
See, this is where it gets interesting because Godzilla's pretty much his biggest battle was against King Ghidorah, which was obviously the bad monster in his last film. And then after that, you start getting into the crazy times of like Mecha Godzilla, where the humans built their own one and things like that, which is kind of getting a bit Pacific Rimmy. So I can't really see them uniting to fight anything else. But that's what I'm saying. Unless there is obviously always going to be, if you look back far enough in the stories and the films, there'll be another bad guy you could bring up. The same as there always is in any kind of comic film or anything like that. There's always someone else you can drag up. But I think it really does need to center on them. But there won't be a winner because you would just be killing off a franchise, and you're going to have another film after this. You're probably going to have another Godzilla film, so I very much doubt they'll kill one.
That was what I was leading into as well, because already there seems to be a lot of hype for this film. More so, I would say this is probably the first 2021 film trailer that's been released that's actually had such a lot of hype that so many people are like really gunning for it. And of course, Hollywood being Hollywood, there would be, if this does successfully, you'd like to think that there will be sequels and that this will become like a franchise. And Mike, maybe you know more of other kind of colossal titan creatures that could come into the mix that they'll bring in. Personally, I don't think there will be an outright winner, even though that's what they're touting it to be at the moment, that one will fall. I mean, yeah, as Brendan was saying, as you were saying there, Brendan, like I would be really surprised if one of them actually died. Like that would be something original. That'd be something new.
As I said, I hope I'm actually wrong. I hope I'm wrong because it would be a nice surprise not to kind of get that. But like you said, it's kind of a theme in Hollywood, really, isn't it? Especially when franchises are involved. Kong's only had his only one solo film, so But yeah, let's see. I'm looking forward to it.
Crossovers in the past haven't had much luck. I'm looking specifically at Aliens versus Predator.
Did you know what? Freddy versus Jason is a modern classic. Just leave this conversation.
That was the next one I was going to go to, Freddy versus Jason. I mean, I suppose that did commercially do very well, as far as I remember.
Terrible film.
It was just
let's be honest. And when you go back to Batman versus Superman, all of these versus movies, right? They're all really shit films. But there's always that, dependent on the movie now, Batman versus Superman, I think they fought, was it for about 50 seconds? Was it something silly like that, or maybe 2 minutes? In the whole film, they fought for 2 minutes, and that was the best 2 minutes of the film, just the fight. Same as, even though Freddy versus Jason was such tripe, right? The scene where they first fight was pretty damn cool. They had the heavy metal music going, and I remember watching that being like, yeah, we're finally seeing the fight. And they fought for a bit. It was pretty brutal, and it was like, yeah, that was cool. It was just everything else around the film was shit.
Well, in those kind of respects,
the same with Aliens versus.
Yeah. Sorry, same thing. You get your fights, and
there was one great scene where a predator was fighting 2 or 3 aliens, and that's pretty much it. The rest of it is just humans being idiots.
Yeah, well, I think the kind of problem is that they have to kind of incorporate the lore of one character with another, and then sometimes, like as you said, from memory, because I haven't seen Freddy versus Jason for a long time, but the kind of whole point of it was that Freddy had to get Jason killing people to make them scared, so that they would have nightmares, so that he would come back. Now, in the scope of things, that's not actually a bad premise. And in Aliens versus Predator, you had this Antarctic base that was like buried below the ground for millions of years, and it turned out some Inca tribe first had them, and it just becomes so convoluted though sometimes that it kind of misses the actual pacing issues and characters.
Like a good premise doesn't necessarily make a good movie.
No, but then on this side of things, you've just basically got these colossal beasts just tearing it up.
What I will say, Tony, is definitely watch the last Godzilla movie, the Godzilla King of Monsters, or whatever it's called, because that was, for me, from someone who doesn't know the lore of Godzilla and that world and the world of the Titans, the second movie really does introduce the world of the Titans, how the history of them, and it hints at Kong in the movie, you know, because know, and I think there is like, am I wrong in saying that, Mike? There's something at the end of the movie where they like actually refer to Kong.
Yeah, there's a post credit scene with Tom Hiddleston and I can't remember what's the girl's name. Is it Natalie Portman who's in Kong?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Skull Island or
in Skull Island, yeah. But
is it Brie Larson, wasn't it?
Brie Larson, yeah. There's a cut scene at the end. That's about, I think it's about 5 minutes, to be honest with you. Of them sitting in their base when it starts to cross over with Godzilla. It's really good, and then it finishes up, and it's quite interesting. You get you knew after Kong that they were building for it when they gave you the Godzilla roar. So they've been building it slowly, kind of Marvel style, as opposed to like DC style and just throwing everyone in straight away. They've given it a bit of time to marinate at least.
And tell me, Mike, aren't there like human factions in this as well in Godzilla King of the Monsters? There's a company called Monarch or Apex or something like that. Are they heavily involved in the actual proceedings of the film, or
in the second one? In fact, they're very integral to all three films, really and truly. But it's just like any kind of science fiction film. There's always a government agency that are in charge of dealing with something that aren't handling it, and then there's always people above them that are trying to sort it out. It's quite a generic sort of.
Are they the good guys or the bad guys? Like,
it starts off that they're the good guys, and then they're kind of the bad guys, and it's one of those simple ones.
All right then. So I think we'll kind of sign off here, sort of thing. So final thoughts, Brendan.
Can't wait.
Nice and sweet. That's how we like it, Mike.
I genuinely, as I said, I haven't been this excited about a film for a very, very, very long time.
Is it going to make you get HBO Max if you don't already have it?
Yeah, why not?
Get that 7-day free trial, you know?
Listen, it's one of them ones that, obviously, as we said, there are always ways and means of seeing films, but as film fans, you know, there are certain franchises, certain things that you always like to support. Like I'll go and watch any Transformers film, no matter how many they make, just because I want to keep putting money into the franchise.
Yeah, I'll be honest. If they make this video on demand on day one and charge a tenner for it, I'm completely paying a tenner for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I feel about certain franchises. This is one of those ones where I'll absolutely put my money in and make sure I can watch it properly and I can watch it the way it's supposed to be seen. This would have been an IMAX viewing without a doubt.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think the IMAX will be open come March, but but it's a thumbs up all round. So that's good to hear.